All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to flush the coolant on Braxton's MC85. This is a GasGas, but if you have a KTM or a Husqvarna, it's the same exact bike. Why are we doing this, Braxton?
Because last weekend was super muddy and the bike almost moved, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably just good to do. So I was in a ton of mud holes helping every little kid that came through. I'll put some videos in there right now.
Yeah, because the bike would have blown up probably, or it's close because there was like no coolant. Probably anyway, because of how hot it got.
It was super hot. Every little kid was blowing coolant. So here's some videos for you guys. So the reason is in Georgia at the GNCC, that his 105 over there, he blew that thing up. So just put the new motor back in that. And so he's been running his 85 big wheel, and it's really simple. But for as cheap as this coolant is, and I want to give you guys two options. So we've been running engine ice a lot here at the shop because you can get that anywhere. So it's really good coolant. And then so is Motul though. We've been running this in all the betas for a really long time. No issues with it. I am going to put a link to our Amazon affiliate thing. We're starting to do that. So if you guys want to grab some of this coolant, we do make like 4%, which is not much, but it's okay. It's helping out. So that's the coolant that we would recommend and where to get it. And so it's really simple. Right now, it's actually still full, surprisingly, after that race. Yeah, and Braxton's bike's a little more difficult because we do run the oversized IMS tanks on his bikes. So I'm gonna pop it real quick just to show you that there's coolant in it, but then we're gonna put it back on before we actually drain it. So if you see it, you can't tell. Wiggle it, yeah, see? That's right there. So coolant's topped off. That's gonna be pretty hard to fill because of the location of the tank. And the reason why I'm putting that back on is it makes it a lot easier to crack this bleeder screw. So I'm gonna switch you to Braxton. Why don't you grab this real quick? So we're gonna show you. So this is the water pump housing right here, and this is the screw that we're going for. You can kind of tell, it's hard to tell from the camera, but there's a crush washer behind here, a copper crush washer. Yeah, there you go.
And you'll see it, it's like right there.
You'll see it more here in a minute. So I'm gonna use a T-handle. You can probably pull that back just a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully it flexes, there we go.
So this is the reason why I leave that screwed in, because it lets me crack this. I don't know what's in it now, Braxton. I don't know if we've ever... This bike's got almost 30 hours on it now. And I'm not sure what we put in this thing for coolant, if we've ever even flushed it. So, because this is the stock motor in this bike. So the reason why the cap is back on is you can see the coolant's not rushing out. If I would have taken the cap off first, this would be making a huge mess down here. So now we'll let the pressure out of the system.
Crack the cap loose and it will make the coolant come on out.
So this is pink coolant, which tells me this is OEM, which has obviously been fine, but, and it's just been a ton of mud races. So obviously the coolant was pretty good, but okay, what you can see now is, back up a little bit, buddy. And you can see that I'm like tipping the bike.
Yeah.
So we're angling it to get every little last bit of this coolant out. And you can go ahead and look up in here, come back on in. We're pretty much just down to a dribble. So we're gonna let this drain the rest of the way, and then we'll come back to it. And you can see that copper crush washer on there. You want this at 6 foot-pounds. So it's like 8 Newton meters or 6 foot-pounds. So we'll get that back on. Oh, we did so good until the very end, making a mess. So there's that. We're gonna torque this and we'll be right back. Okay, so we have the drain bolt retorqued. And before we actually refill the coolant, I just want to point this out, is inside of here, this is on top of the cylinder head is a little bleeder port. So we're going to fill it up top first. So go ahead and zoom out or back up a little bit. We're going to fill it up here first. And then once that's full and we can see it, we're going to crack this screw down here. And we're going to let the air come out. Once the air is finally gone, we'll tighten that again and then retop this off. So, okay, so this is a pretty bad angle, but we're gonna try. Oh, we're doing decent. So you can hear it. It just took all that, which is perfect. was gonna say, we ran out way too soon. So let's put this back in here. I shouldn't say ran out, but it was topped off way too soon. And what I'm gonna do here as well to help it bleed is on the big bikes, I'll just take it and I'll tip it up a little bit. So it's kind of like force feeding that left-hand radiator too. You can kind of hear it in there, kind of gurgling around. And it's still showing itself perfectly up on top there. I'm gonna kind of overfill it a little bit. So I would argue that that's overfilled on the radiator, but we have to crack that screw. So let me grab a wrench and we'll crack that down there. So with Braxton's bigger tank on here, this is making this is gonna make the process a little more difficult, but I think I can sneak this on there. Try to do it so you guys can also see.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's okay. This makes me feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Okay, that's perfectly on it. And this bleeder screw shouldn't need a lot of turns to make that loose. Yeah, I can already get it on my fingers. So let's look at this and see. Probably gonna take a couple of screws to get it.
Is it gonna like hiss maybe or?
Probably not that much pressure in it, but let me try to turn that a little bit more. I could get it on my finger a second ago. You can see coolant's coming out now, and all those air bubbles are out. So what's cool, I'll go a little bit more just to like let it flood out. Oh
no.
The bleeder screw just fell out completely.
Get a paper towel. Paper towels.
It's okay. So we're gonna make a pretty good sized mess trying to tip this back in there.
But we'll get it after we stop filming.
All right, guys, even though we wasted a bunch of coolant, you can see in there, it's kind of bobbling on the top of that head bolt. You can see it's perfectly full. So I'm gonna let Braxton with little hands sneak in there and try to stick that bolt back in. And so when I rebuilt his 105 last week, the gas tank and stuff wasn't on. So as soon as coolant came out, my hand obviously could fit in there. So I'm gonna let Braxton try.
Do this.
Just like building Legos, buddy.
Yeah, kind of like building Legos.
All right, so I actually got it. It's back on. And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tighten it down now. So you can see it's threaded all the way down. Crush washer's in there. So let me sneak my hand in there, buddy. And it won't need a lot of turns because it's like a normal little wrench. So there's one turn to kind of get the crush washer set again. And then I'll move my hand so you can see what I just did. I just reset the wrench in there. And now I'm just gonna pull the wrench this way. So we'll give it one final. That's plenty snug. It doesn't have to be much, but I'm just making sure it's good. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna re-top off the top because we lost 80% of what we put in there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is it's perfectly sitting in there. We're gonna take this bike outside. We're gonna run it for like a minute, and then we'll check it and we'll show you guys what it's like. Like, did it move? Did it not move? Are you good just by topping it off? So we obviously know that the bottom bolt is tight. We know that our bolt on top of the cylinder head is tight and the cap is on. So let's get this thing outside and we'll start it for a minute. Okay, so we got the bike outside, just cleaned it, cleaned the garage, I feel better. So gas is on, let's start this thing for a minute. We're just gonna let it run for a minute and we're gonna get the coolant, get it hot, and then we'll let it cool down and we'll come back and we'll show you guys if we have to top it off or if it's good to go. Okay, it's cooled down. It's not hot anymore. You can touch it. It's not even hot to touch. So let's see. We ran it for like 40, 50 seconds outside. Yeah, pretty much gone. So
Dry.
grab this. So if you guys are doing this at home, don't just top it off and let it go. Let's see if I tip the bike straight up and down though, because it's on a side stand. Oh, it's back.
Is
it's
it?
right
I
there.
can't even see it.
Well, hold it up and then I'll shake it. Maybe.
It's because of shade.
Well, it's there.
Yeah.
The coolant's up
you can
there.
hear it.
But let's top it off when
gas
it's okay. Now look in there. You can see it. Let's just put a splash more in though. So let's go like this. It's kind of weird that it was completely gone and now it's coming back a little. You don't want to fill it to the bottom of the cap. There has to be room inside these radiators for it to expand a little, otherwise it will blow coolant. So if you read like the manuals, it doesn't matter the brand, you want to leave a gap. So don't just top it off all the way to the bottom. So we'll probably end up doing one more, I'll call it a heat cycle. I don't know what we'll call it. One more run before we head to the next race next weekend. So thank you guys for watching. That was a coolant flush on a GasGas MC 85. Enjoy the ride. See you in the trail.